I want to circle back to long-term focus,
Sure.
if that's cool, because you accidentally brought up something that I wanted to talk about today anyway. We were talking about the key to personal development a while ago, according to Naval Ravikant, is just the ability to zoom out and look long-term. And then very recently, actually, you came to a business conclusion for running our businesses that was the same. And you didn't tie it to Naval at all, but you just were talking about, I've been studying Alex Hormozi and I've been studying all these successful people in business. And it seems like the difference between a billionaire and a millionaire is that a billionaire is constantly looking at a longer time frame. And I just think that's interesting. So the key to success in business, the key to personal development. So how do you cultivate a long-term focus? Because apparently it's the key to success in everything.
I think abundance, which is simultaneously outside of you and inside of you. So like, it's very hard to think long-term when you're starving, you're not like, should I have this McDonald's right now? Is this, or, should I smoke this cigarette, drink this drink, do this drug? It's a very different thing. So
Sure.
You need a degree of comfort and abundance outside of you, but I also think internally. And one of the things that has happened to me, which I've been going back and forth is, interestingly, we moved into this house, my rent has gone up a lot, and my sense of financial abundance in being here has decreased, which is one of the reasons that I brought that up to you, because I was like, I now have this, I noticed this inner push psychically towards short term, like, like I need money more. And I'm trying to notice that and resist that.
Yeah. Well, good news is it looks like you're completely resistant to it. Your behavior does not seem like it at all. So,
well, I'm not even like, I think that often where
you did make me come in sick today. So
I did not.
No, I'm just kidding.
Often where your and my business focuses, and it's, emblematic of where we are, is like 6 months a year down the line.
Yeah. We're not 10 years out.
No. And I think it's just such a useful question to just, for me as someone who isn't there, because you need both. You need to make it to 10 years and then you need something to do in 10 years.
Well, I think I know, for me at least, I know why. The 10-year horizon is so scary because you can work for 9 years and not get it. Like the Wrights brothers were the first people to fly, but they were going against someone else. The future for us would be the combination of VR and AI coming together to transform what it means to have interpersonal relationships. And I think about that and I go, man, what if we just invest all our money into it and then don't come up with a good VR or don't come up with a good AI? It's so much more certain when you're trying to achieve a 6-month goal. And it's so much more uncertain when you're trying to achieve a 10-year goal. Or that's how it feels to me.
Well, I would even say, and I'm trying to think of the way to frame it, implicit in your understanding of who we are is something, which is we have to remain charisma on command. We have to solve this particular problem. And if I think letting go of that with the 10 years, like, do I want to be doing charisma in 10 years? No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't.
Well, you feel weird selling the business because your face is all over it.
Well, forget selling or whatever, but it's just like, I'm not concerned with charisma AI unless at some point I become interested in AI as it relates to charisma. Like 10 years, I'm not really sure, but I know, like take the 5-year, I want to pick something that I'm excited about. Right now that's D&D. Will it remain D&D? I don't know, but it does make you, one of the things that came from that question to myself, which may never happen because I think there's this, you have to wed the 6 months, the 1 year, the 2 year, and the 5 year, is maybe I'll be a DM someday. Like if I look at the 5-year time frame and I like Dungeons and Dragons and I want to make a Dungeons and Dragons show, the most chance that I can make an amazing thing, if I am into it, is by making the show, is by being the dungeon master.
Sure. Brendan Lee Mulligan.
Yes. And it's like, if I'm looking 6 months, it's like, oh, Brendan is so much better than me. If I'm looking, I'm just like, there's no way, we're not even in the same ballpark. But I'm like, 5 years? And I care? Maybe I'm really good. I don't know. So that's sort of the long-term frame is asking those sorts of things. And then the other questions that it leads is, okay, we do have this business 5 to 10 years. Do I want it to disappear? No. So that means that I should hire somebody. You know what I mean? And does it mean that I should hire the first person to alleviate my pain and like get me out of a system? No. It means I should hire the best person. So it does have it gets your brain thinking in different ways, at least for me, because I'm not a 5-10 year person at all. I'm like a 1-2 year. And then a lot of time I'm like, what do I want to do today? I'm very selfish and impulsive sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, the personal development side of being long-term is so easy. It comes so naturally to me in terms of charisma, health. It's like, oh yeah, today, whatever, caramel's yummy, but sugar causes cancer, so just give it up. To me, that's a no-brainer. It's very easy because I have so much certainty around the success of it. I'm like, if anybody works out enough, eats the right diet, they can get an insanely good, healthy body. And in terms of charisma, I just felt similarly. I was just 100,000% convinced that with repetition and effort, I could learn this and master it, and it would be guaranteed. And so that stuff is easy for me, where some people feel the opposite. Some people have such a struggle to stick with the personal development side
because they don't believe it.
But they believe in the business side. And so you see all these obese, successful CEOs because they felt sticking with their business was the obvious, this is going to work thing. And they don't have any faith that if they do the sacrifice of giving up the foods, it'll even translate to being healthier.
Well, one thing that I've noticed is like who you surround yourself with, certainly. We have a friend who is just like, Mr. It's going to work out financially. It's just, he just believes that. And I don't get to see him as much because we're not in the same country because of COVID, but like he's a good influence on me. I feel I've been in between him and you, oftentimes. And I've been like, it's good for me to get pulled in that direction. Cause he's like, oh dude, it's going to work. I'm like, oh yeah, it is. It's going to be fine. You just do whatever you're interested in. You do it long enough. You stick to your interests and things work out. I think that what makes people the way they are is early childhood experiences. And for some reason, I had a pretty good upbringing with regards to I will be okay financially. And then your current group, like where they pull you, and what else has made it? Your diet. I will say the one thing related to all of this is every single teacher you have comes with an implicit worldview. So I like listening to Alex Hormozy because he's long-term focused, but it's all about money. You know what I mean? It really is like, and
when you say diet, you mean mental diet.
Mental diet. Yeah. And so like, I actually, as much as I enjoy him for business, I need less of him in my life because it's long-term focused on money, which is like, even if you're focused long-term on that, it's how to make a lot of money, which is not what I really deeply care about long-term, but it can trigger that in me.
I think similar to how we're talking about how morality can be crowdsourced, I think priorities get crowdsourced too. And so depending on where you live and your social structure and the community you grew up in, it's going to totally dictate how hungry you are for wealth and possessions and how much you actually think time in the sun is the metric, and walks in sunshine with your kids is the ultimate measure of success. And so the more you get to do that, the more you're winning. I don't think anyone wants to not, quote unquote, win at their metric, but I think different people have just totally different measures of what matters. And I think that gets crowdsourced to a large degree.
Totally. And what I guess I've, see over and over again is that one of those characters in your crowdsource is your media diet for most people, if you're on your phone or on your computer at all. And the blogs, videos, podcasts that you listen to come with implicit, non-spoken value systems. Like if you're listening to Tim Ferriss, self-optimization is important. It's just in there. Like succeeding at the game as the rules have been laid out in the most intelligent way possible is important.
People who have achieved what most people would consider enlightenment are probably the quietest voices because they don't think it's super important how quickly you get there or if you get there at all because you're on your path, if that makes sense. So if you think
everything's perfect, why?
If you think fitness matters and you were heavy set and now you're jacked and it's changed your life, that's your religion. You're going to be evangelical. If you grew up poor, you started a business, now you're successful, you're going to be evangelical about the importance of entrepreneurship. You're going to want to go out and virtually go door to door knocking, saying, hey, you got to do this. You got to get in shape. You got to build wealth. It's the religion you should pursue. And if you're the guy that's achieved what most people consider enlightenment, you're not going to go door to door. And what that means is the people who are probably not actually what most people would consider to be enlightened. The people who are trying to spread that message, but are extremely concerned with subscriber count, view count, growth over time, month to month KPIs. It's like, well, I don't think you're like really fully living necessarily that feeling. I almost
And that's
wonder,
just not what enlightened people see or think.
I almost wonder if it's a good sign that like the Book of Joy was written by someone else.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
They flew in to interview the Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
And asked him questions, and he was
Tutu.
like, "Oh yeah, you can
Sure.
can be here, and I'll talk to you." And then they had to go turn it into a book while he just kept being the Dalai Lama or being Desmond Tutu.
It's generally a good sign that like to go see all these people, you have to go to their mountain. You know what I mean?
They're not doing 6-figure tours. They're not doing corporation to corporation.
And it's not, it doesn't mean like, I know like Sadhguru is very active and he's got a huge business, and that doesn't mean that there's no value there. But if the belief is things are okay the way that they are, everything is happening perfectly, it tends to correspond to not a ton of activity.
Yeah, I haven't been, but one of the reasons I would go to
But not that it's no activity, because things are perfect even in your activity. It's like even the franticness is perfect from the enlightened perspective. Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.